My name is Gary. I've been working at eFuture for about a little over a year now. Originally, I'm from California, from the US, but I've been living in Korea for over 7 years now. So I've been living in Seoul for over 7 years. My family is Filipino, so yeah, being from a kind of racially diverse country. Yeah, so I was actually born in the Philippines, but grew up in California. So is there any other people from California in the chat? Are you from California as well, Andrew? Oh, nice. So yeah, I grew up in Santa Barbara, Riverside. That's I went to University of Riverside, UCR. That's my alma mater. But I grew up in Santa Barbara, so Central Coast. Nice. Small world. Small world. So we got, Vancouver. Used to live in Santa Barbara. Beautiful place, right? Beautiful. All the beaches and the weather. Yeah, I go back maybe once a year. From Vancouver. So we're all from the western side of North America so far. Seeing a lot of Vancouvers in California. I was in Australia. I remember seeing in the chat. Ooh, Portuguese, living in Japan. Very nice. Oh, you were at the EBJ event in Osaka. Oh, I do remember. Are you with the... Were you the one that attended with your son? I think? Yes, okay, I remember you. Nice to see you, Andrew. Yeah, I do remember you. Okay. From Quebec province, been in Japan almost 10 years. Nice. It was 43 years. Good. Just enjoying it out on different countries, kind of more diverse. Another one from Quebec. Nice. We got a lot of people coming from the same area. Small world, all coming together here. All right, so we got about 93. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. And so it's a nice introduction. So like I said, for those that just entered here, my name is Gary. I've been working with eFuture for about a year. Before that, I taught 6 years in public school in South Korea, in Seoul. I taught English, mostly 5th and 6th grade students. And then after that, I came here, and now I'm a kind of a consultant and here to help you guys out and hopefully give you some ideas and tips on how to teach online and give you some extra resources that you can use with your students. So I'm going to go over some of the things that eFuture is offering for online learning, some things that we provide to the teachers using our books, as well as some extra resource sites that I found that are a lot of fun for your students. All right, so let's get started. Also, if I'm talking too quickly or not, please let me know. I can slow down. Sometimes I don't realize how quickly I'm speaking sometimes. So, all right, so let's get started. So the agenda for today, so since we're all having this webinar here on Zoom, I kind of want to go over the basics, some of the basics on how to use Zoom, maybe some of the functions, and if you guys want, feel free to ask questions about Zoom, maybe that you're unfamiliar with. Hopefully I can help you kind of solve some of the issues that you might be having. And then I'm going to go into some of the online materials and resources that eFuture has for all of you. So I'm going to be going over eSmart class and then kind of walking through the ebooks that we have. And then after that, I'll be kind of presenting some resources that I found that can help supplement your lessons, right? And then if there's time at the end, if we aren't all too hungry by the end of the webinar, I'll be around for a bit to have a little Q&A, and I can answer any questions that I missed. So one thing I'll say with the webinar, there is a Q&A function built in that you can ask any questions during the webinar, and we do have some colleagues in the chat as well that can answer your questions in case I miss them, or you can just ask them in the chat. Okay, so we'll do our best to kind of answer all your questions throughout the webinar. Okay, so first, I'm going to throw out a quick poll. I want to see what experiences all of you have regarding online learning. So I can kind of focus in on, you know, what kind of main focuses and like tips to kind of look at as I'm going through my webinar. So in a second, also the Q&A, sorry. So the Q&A, there's going to be a separate button that you should be able to see on maybe on your bar. It should be somewhere there, and you can click the Q&A and you can ask it directly to us. So say if you're typing a question in the chat and we don't see it right away, and say maybe it's been a few minutes since it's passed, go ahead and throw that in the Q&A, and then all the colleagues will be able to see it and I will see it, because it'll pop up in another window separately. So that's another option for you guys, all right? So I'm gonna throw a quick poll out for everyone. I'd like just to get some information on everyone's background and experience. So you should be getting this poll popping up now. So if you can kind of answer these simple questions for your for the survey, hopefully it's popped up for everyone. Just want to know what your experiences are with online classes, what programs you've been using, and then yeah, being an eFuture webinar, like if you're using our books and if you've ever had if you've ever used our eSmart class as well. So yeah, this is all coming in now. Okay, so it looks a little 50-50 split on our books. So hopefully, yeah, if you aren't using our books, hopefully there can be a little walkthrough for at least some of the resources that we do have available. It's like a lot of people are using Zoom, so it's a good thing I'll go over some of the basics. And then, yeah, a lot of people have previous experience with online classes. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like Zoom is one of the overwhelming programs here. Yeah. And a lot of other ones. So I'm seeing a lot of other. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, I should have put that as an option as well. So for the people that selected other for what programs you've used, can you write in the chat maybe? Kind of curious on what other programs you guys are using for your chat. So remote meetings, only have done, okay. Just started using eFuture last week. Okay, that's good. LMS Blackboard, Blackboard, yeah, I'm familiar with that from university days. Blackboard is one platform to use. Now Flipgrid. Ooh. Yeah, there's so many kind of resources nowadays. It's hard to kind of keep up. All right, looks like we got about 75%, so that gives me a good idea. So I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. So if any are kind of curious about the polls, the poll is a webinar function. Yeah, if you buy the webinar add-on for Zoom, you get kind of that function for putting out polls and all that. Okay, using Line. Yeah, using Line to like kind of connect with the students. Yeah, video chat. Okay. All right, so I'm going to kind of go into Zoom. I know this might seem, yeah, you might need to allow the pop-ups, yeah. No, excuse me. So for kind of the basics of Zoom, I think the very important function is screen sharing. So I've kind of done a few screenshots to show kind of how to screen share. I know a lot of people kind of get a little bit confused with how to share the different windows and kind of flip through them all. So usually when you get your account to screen share, when you host a meeting or webinar or conference or anything, you'll have these options to select from, and you can click here on the screen share only. So that will give you the option to show any of the windows that you have on your computer currently. So once you click that screen share only, then you'll get this window. Okay, so this isn't a pop-up. This is the window that you'll see once you click once you click the screen share button. And you'll see all of these different windows that I had opened during this when I had this screenshot. So having your web browser, having the PowerPoint, and Paint if it's open. There's also whiteboard functions that you can have, and just all the other kind of windows that you have open. So I have different browsers and different websites open that I'm going to be sharing with you, and so just clicking this button here. So once you start it and pick a window, you'll get the kind of the meeting bar, kind of the function bar. And you'll click the new share button, and then you can kind of scroll through all the windows and select which ones you want to show. I did have a question the other day about how to show like the full screen PPT. So if you'll see here, if I were to screen share this window, this PowerPoint window, it would just share the PowerPoint window, like not the actual presentation. So what you would have to do is kind of start the presentation on PowerPoint, and then Alt-Tab. Alt-Tab is the kind of shortcut function. So you'd Alt-Tab back into the Zoom bar, and then share the slideshow. So share the slideshow itself. Okay. So it kind of gets a little bit tricky, but if you wanted to present a PPT, that would be the way to actually do it. All right. Yeah. Was there any confusion with that? Do I need to kind of explain, or everything was kind of clear? And feel free to ask any questions you might have about Zoom. Like I had some about break rooms. So there is a function on sharing computer audio as well. So when you start, can you make a demo for PowerPoint? So like creating the PowerPoint and then showing it, or can you clarify a little bit more, Laura? So you can create like, say, just like sometimes you use PowerPoints in your class. So if you're having the online class, you would be able to use, say, like the vocabulary ones. Okay. Let me see if I can share my. So this is the. Okay. So I can close it out here. So I should be seeing here. I might not be able to show it live right now. So I can show you what I'm seeing. Let me see. So I can show you what I'm seeing. So this is what I see right now on my computer. So if I went to the share new window, oh, hold on. Actually, let me go back. So this is my PPT. You can see my PPT window right now, right? Just to clarify, as I'm going through. You can see what's on my screen. Yes? Okay. So then on here, so this is my PPT. So I'm going to push Shift F5 as the way to kind of shortcut to start the PPT. So right now you can't see my PowerPoint, or you can see it right now, but with some other windows. But if I wanted to just share only my PowerPoint, you would click that new share window, and then you'd click the slideshow that shows up. So I'm not sure right now if you can see the second pop-up window that's on my screen, but you would click on the slideshow and then hit share, and then it would only present just the PowerPoint. Was that, were you able to see kind of step by step? Okay, perfect, right, wonderful. Okay, so that's kind of how to share the PowerPoint function on that. Yeah, with sharing the audio, that's something you need to make sure to do when you start the meeting. So a lot of times you can kind of make a waiting room for your meeting. So the students can be just waiting while you kind of set up, and then can make sure to share your computer audio sound as you start your meeting. And then another thing that is kind of good then that we can do like group work is the break rooms. You would have to make sure in your settings that break rooms are activated. And then in your kind of bar, in this bar as well, in the more, you'll see a function to set break rooms. And what that does is puts the students into groups. And as the host of your meeting, you'll be able to go through each of the rooms and kind of monitor the students and see what they're doing. So it's a way to do group work as well through the Zoom platform. Yeah? So you just have to make sure that that function is activated in your settings. All right. So is there any other questions on Zoom? So these were kind of the basics that I thought that were important to kind of present to you guys regarding Zoom. So if there was anything that you guys have been trying to figure out, my students are on their phones, will break rooms work? I do believe so. Like in order to access the break rooms, they only need like the app or the desktop app as well. So basically what happens in the break room, it kind of goes away from your presentation slide and puts everyone into a group instead. So that's what they're viewing. They would just view people that are in their group, whether if their video is activated or not. If it's not activated, it'll just show a screen with the person's name. So that, yeah, I haven't dabbled too much on the phones, but I know that's how it would work on the desktop, the computer. So I believe it would be the same thing, just kind of a smaller window of the, just a smaller version tailored to the phone. Okay. Let me show you the whiteboard. Okay. So we're showing the whiteboard here. So it just gives you a different, yeah, just like if you had like a chalkboard, you could do it on the computer as well. So you can write things on there. Okay. So you can see the whiteboard right now, right? I did share that with everyone. So this is kind of the extra function. So it's basically your online chalkboard. So that's what the whiteboard function is. Okay, good question so far, right? Something it might be hard if you use on phone whiteboard. Yeah. So are you teaching using your phone? Do you mean hard for the teachers or hard for the students? Yeah, so you can show Word documents as well. Yeah, the students on their phones. So it might be a little more difficult for them to see like the small things if you use the chalkboard or the whiteboard on the Zoom app, on the Zoom functions. So maybe, you can kind of test it as well if you have like a, practice student account to kind of just have another person to view it. So if you logged in, say, on your computer and then used your iPad or your phone to enter into the meeting and just to see what they're seeing. I'll show the virtual background. Yeah, I can show you the virtual backgrounds. I played around with it a little bit. There's like some like outdoor backgrounds and like in space. So there's a lot of there's a lot of like different backgrounds. So it would just basically change everything around me. Kind of like in like movies, the blue screen or green screen, it kind of sets something in the background. So actually this whiteboard isn't an eFuture whiteboard. This whiteboard is integrated into Zoom. So this is a Zoom function. Yeah. You type onto the whiteboard and draw it? I believe so. There should be a text option. Yeah, there is a text option as well. So you can write in from over here. Yeah, so it's from Zoom, not a special eFuture whiteboard. Maybe in the future we can use it. Yeah, I am using a mouse as well to kind of work through all the functions. And then you can erase. Yeah. Erase all the things there. Go back to the slideshow. Okay. All right. Was there any questions before I move on? Yeah, so if you're actually going to write something, you just use the text. The text would be easier to use, as opposed to what I did when I wrote hi. So there's a way to like use a text box rather instead, so you wouldn't have to try to write down all the things. Yeah, if you're going to use text. Yeah, text box. How do you play an audio file? Yeah, so if you have, as long as you have your audio shared, you can share the audio with the while you're doing the meeting. So like I have on this window here. So when I started my meeting, it has this window that pops up right away. So you can join the meeting, start the meeting with audio, and that way you can play. You can play from YouTube. You can play any audios that you put into your PowerPoint slides. So any audio sources that are coming from your computer, you can share with your students as well. Like the students should be able to hear it. So in a little bit, when I open up, like say the ebooks, you should be able to hear the dialogue and the listen practice. Something that remote meeting does not have. Yeah, I've done some. Is remote meeting a different program, or is that the type of Hopefully I can figure that out for you later. Okay. So if there's no further questions on Zoom, or if you think of some questions, almost the same as Zoom. Okay, see. Yeah, so if there's any other questions you have with Zoom later, you can go ahead and put them in the Q&A or chat, and then we can try to help you with that later. So let's get into the eSmart class. So for those that are using eFuture's books, this is probably the best tool right now to help use for online learning. So let me go ahead now and show you. So I'm going to share now the platform, eSmart class platform. So this is the kind of platform. So this eSmart class allows a little bit of extra practice, as well as another resource place to access our ebooks for any of the books that you are using. So for those that are actually using eFuture's books, which books are you using from us? Kind of curious. So are you using a lot of our course books? So we got Hand in Hand, Smart Phonics, Little Phonics, my first grammar, Smart Phonics. Good. Yeah, so a lot of my first reading. Good. So all of these series you'll be able to access through eSmart class. So using the ebooks. So a lot of our phonics. Nice. Little Hands. Good to see a Little Hands in there. Yeah. So I'm actually going to walk through our Little Hands ebook, our e-kit. It's one of our newer series and newer e-kits that we have. So this is kind of the basic, the beginning interface that you'll see when you log in. So I did make a YouTube playlist. So if you're curious on how to register and all the other functions, I'm not going to go too deep into the other functions today, but I will link a YouTube playlist that I did create a walkthrough for you to watch, and then I kind of instruct you on how to create a class, how to create your students, and all that through the video. So if we have time later, I can talk about it a bit more, but this is kind of the basics of the e-kits and everything, and the extra practice. So you can make all your students' accounts, and then once you make their accounts, you can make the class to choose any of the ebooks, textbooks that you are using. So like here, my class here, has EFL Phonics, Hand in Hand, My Best Reading, My First Grammar. And then you can make multiple classes, multiple students. So this is where the teacher, kind of the easy thing is for the teacher to create their student account. So the students won't have to really do anything themselves. The teacher will make it for the students. And then you kind of make a list. You'll make a list, and then you can upload all the students at once, or kind of create them individually depending on your class size. Yeah? So you kind of go through that and then select the textbooks. And once you select the textbooks, for your class, all the ebooks will be available. So when I click the ebooks page here, only the ebooks for your classes will show up. So if you wanted to add more, you would go back into your classes and modify the textbook list. So almost all of our series, all of our books are available through ebook as well. Okay. So I'm going to show you here. So I'm going to look at the Little Hands ebook, eKit. I'm going to open this here. So a pop-up window, say you're using eSmart Class. So a pop-up window will come up for the eKit, for your ebooks. So right now you shouldn't be able to see the eKit right now, only on my screen. So you need to make sure in the Zoom that you do go back in and share the screen, okay? So now I flipped the window and now you can see the eKit. Okay? So on the Little Hands eKit, what's good about the ebooks on eSmart Class is we do have all the audio integrated into our eKits. So you wouldn't need to say open up a different audio program to play it. So you would have to flip through everything or have multiple screens and kind of take a little bit more time. Everything is kind of integrated into one, so you don't need to kind of shuffle around and get through all of your resources that you're trying to use for teaching. Okay? So in Little Hands, we have different ebooks for the series. There's the different components. So I'm going to just kind of go into the student book. And in the student book, we go into Unit 1 here. Like I talked about, everything is integrated in here. So in Little Hands, we have our theme song, we have the hello song, and all of these other kind of transition chants and everything. All are integrated into the eKit, so you can just access them through each of the menus. As well as for the unit, you'll be able to pop up right here, and you can present the unit song for the students. So you can show just the video by itself, or you can present the lyrics as well. And you can all hear the audio right now, correct? What is this? It's a crayon. Yeah, so making sure that your audio at the beginning is being shared, you'll be able to not have to worry about them not listening to the audio. But it is quite small, yeah. So I can make it louder. Like as you can see, it's only like 4 bars. So you have to make sure the audio on your computer is bigger or is louder as well. So if I played it again, it should be a bit louder. What is this? Yeah. It's a book. Yeah. So you can either make sure that it's good on your end, on your computer, making sure it's loud, but you can also make sure hopefully the students will be honest with the audio. If they're not hearing it or not, then you can double check with them and they can make it louder. Because maybe students might not know, oh, okay, the audio, am I supposed to be hearing something or not? So there's like different kind of things. Yeah, you might want to find out with the students. So yeah, so there's that. You can do all that with Little Hands as well. Yeah, the virtual audio cable. Yeah, so in Little Hands, there's also the drawing functions we have on some of our eKits that you can use. So you can kind of highlight, circle, or draw some things. The highlighter, you have a highlighter as well that you can use. You can erase. You can also put text boxes as well inside. So you can see my text here. So there's different functions you can do. You can set your timer for the students to do activities. So a lot of classroom management things that you can kind of do. Erase that. And then a different spotlight on this eKit. So you can kind of move it around. You wanted to focus on, like, say this here. And then you can ask your class, hey, what is this? Like this is the kindergarten book, so kind of asking the simple questions to highlight. Depending on the country that you're in, The ebook materials will be free. So you'll be able to access the websites, but the way you access them might vary depending on country to country. So if you have any further questions on the accessing and everything in your country, we will be providing the kind of the contact information for the distributors in your particular country. So whether you're in like Peru or if you're in Latin America, Asia, Europe, a lot of them will be different depending on the region. So we will be able to provide you with the partners that we have in those countries, and they can kind of get you started as well. And so I'm just kind of giving you the introduction to, once you get access to these ebooks, what kind of functions that we have available to you. Okay. So there's this. So we have the spotlight function, and then some of the units as well for inside Little Hands will have extra e-activities and flashcards. So just like here,
crayon,
you'll be able to listen and repeat and practice the vocabulary with them. This would help instead of having the physical flashcards and holding them up to the students and holding it up to your camera. You can just use the digital flashcards instead, and then have them listen to the audio, have them listen and repeat. Making sure that they're also sharing their audio. So when you're asking them questions, make sure that their audio is activated. So when you ask them a question, they're able to answer as well. Okay? Might get a little bit hectic, so I think you'll have more control over who is able to speak, because I can only imagine having 20 students all in one Zoom meeting, all of their microphones added, and you don't know what's going to be going on behind them as well. So just making sure, I think there are functions to allow the students to speak. So if you ask them a question, you can activate their mic, and then they can confirm the activation on their side. So that's kind of another thing to think about. Okay, so this is kind of the flashcards, and then there's different activities.
Crayon.
Yeah, so I'll answer your question in a second. Sorry, I was reading the chat question. So this activity here, you will listen.
Crayon.
And then you have to make sure to pick the correct one. So it'll shuffle through, and then you can kind of click it here. So if the students were using the e-kit themselves, they would be able to do it. But if you say you're doing this in a class, maybe you would tell the students to say stop or click now for the correct one, and then you'd click. Okay. So there's different ways to kind of do it. So book, you'd have to stop, or maybe if you're a bit slow, you could do it. Okay. So yeah, so there's kind of this function here. Okay. Okay, so let me answer your question here. So I need to be able to host a Zoom in order to do all this. I do private tutoring, so I try to FaceTime. Yeah, on FaceTime, you're going to have limited capabilities, like I talked about. Yeah, because FaceTime is kind of just like another messenger. Yeah, you'll have to share your screen, and then I'm not sure the capabilities of sharing audio as well. Sharing the audio might be an obstacle that you have when using FaceTime. Like audio from your phone. Say if you wanted to have them listen to a YouTube video, you would probably just have to send them the link instead of just playing it right away, like I'm doing here. So I can see you. You can do this in a meeting as well. Yeah, you can do this in a meeting as well. Okay. Yeah, use iPad. Okay. Yeah, so you can use the kind of the mobile app as well for Zoom to do it. So you can share screens in meetings as well. It should be an option. Yeah, even if the whiteboard function happens to be only a webinar function, you can just open up Paint and then share the Paint window, and then if you wanted to draw something out, that would be kind of a workaround in the case that the whiteboard isn't an option, which I think it still is. So I think overall in the meetings and the webinars, that'll be a function. Okay. With the pay functions, if you want to kind of go above the basic features, like be able to do this webinar, we had to kind of upgrade our account. Yeah, so if you wanted to upgrade your account, then it kind of opens up more options for you to do. So for like webinars, we had to get, we have 105 people right now in viewing this. So to reach that, you'd have to pay an add-on. And there's different other add-ons that you can use. It kind of just expands it. So I know the basic account for Zoom only allows 40 minutes. But say you went to a pro account, you would be able to get longer. Like those are the kinds of things that that you would be able to do. Okay. Yeah, so if you can do 40-minute classes and then maybe use another platform to kind of follow up, that would be a thing if you weren't able to have the resources to pay for a pro account. Okay. Yeah, so this is the Little Hands e-kit. So other things with Little Hands, you do have a button down on the bottom. So like I showed you earlier, you have, in Little Hands, we have the e-kit, we have the activity book, and we have the phonics. So if you see down here, there's a button to click that has AB. So once you click the AB, it'll take you to the corresponding activity book page. So it's not like as opposed to having to click home and then going to, clicking the activity book and then going to my classroom and then going to the corresponding page. You wouldn't need to do that. You just looked in the lower left and then you can go directly to the page that you are on. Yes, Ellie, the class can be recorded. You can either, there's options to either have it recorded right away. As soon as you start, it records, or if you didn't have that option on, you would go back into on that bar there was like the more. In that drop-down window, there will be an option to record the session. So even if you didn't have that function right away, if you wanted to record, say, a portion of it, you would be able to start and stop the recording. Yeah, exactly. Ryan, that's perfect. Yeah. So that's a good thing to do before you start your classes. Like I talked about earlier, just opening up a meeting on your computer, but then using another device to log into the meeting just to see how things are going on your side. Yeah? So I have a question here. If I pay for the upgrade but my students don't, will they still get cut off after 40 minutes? No, it depends on the host account. The host account, if you as the host have a pro account and you have access to the longer sessions, you should be fine in having the longer sessions with them. They won't be automatically cut off after 40 minutes. Is it possible to draw same time on whiteboard? Yes. When I was showing you earlier, I was doing in real time. Or actually, yeah, that's something I might have to check with you guys. Let me share it here. So when you share the whiteboard, so let me. When you start the function, can you see me drawing right now? Yeah, so you should be able to see it as it's coming out. Okay? Yes. So like I'm showing you right now, actually. So like I talked about earlier, if you want to show any other resources through Zoom, all you have to do is share your window. So like right now, I'm showing you the whiteboard, and now I can show you the e-kit. Okay. So this is the way to kind of do it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me close that. Yeah, so this is kind of the rough overall of the e-kit. So you have all the access to all these, all the resources that are included, like the audio and the video. This can be accessed through basically all of our ebooks, whether you use My First Grammar or using our grammar books or writing books, reading books. The audio will be integrated into the ebook. So as long as you have the audio, again, I feel like I'm stressing it a lot, as long as it's activated in your Zoom, you'll be able to share the audio with your students during class. Yeah, yeah, it's a monthly fee to upgrade the account. I mean, you can pay annually, but that's more of a lump sum. You have to pay a lot more money all at once. So this is kind of the, okay, thanks for coming, Gould. Yeah, just for people that do have to leave early, we are recording this webinar as well. And we did share our YouTube channel earlier. If you do follow it, we will be uploading this webinar into our YouTube channel. So if you want to see anything that you missed later on, you can access it there, all right? So have a good day, Gould. Okay. All right, so is there any questions regarding the e-kits or in the ebooks? So it was kind of like a basic introduction into here and all the functions that you'll be able to utilize as a teacher. So a lot of the drawing tools, a lot of, the audio and video involved. Some of the, like the Little Hands e-kit will have extra, flashcards and activities that the students can do. So going back to the eSmart class really quick. So in the eSmart class as well, I'll just show you this really quickly. You can also do extra practice with the students. So let me find the reading one. So you can kind of preview. Let me do, so yeah, here you can see it all in here. So if I'm modifying this class, I can add any of the textbooks. So I'm going to add Smart English 1. So I'm going to go into the practice. And I should be having Smart English here. So these are the practices that, that are also on eSmart class. So the students, once the students have their own accounts, they can do it themselves. They just log in and do it themselves. But say you wanted to do this practice together with them, you can just go through on your teacher's account and then hit preview. So again, be sure that you're going to get another pop-up. So you kind of have to go through and share the windows. So this is kind of what you'll see. So you can kind of go through the practice together.
Alligator.
So then you can hear that, and then you can kind of ask them, which picture is it? And then they can kind of answer you, and then you can do the practice together and check if they're correct. Okay, and do it that way. So there's a kind of other listening practices and yeah, extra listening practice and other kind of tests and yeah, practice that the students can do. Okay. Yeah, so the prices for Zoom and everything you can find on their website. There's going to be a tab that has like pricing and plans, so you can see it all there. I know the kind of, depending on your country, it'll have the different currencies. Okay. All right, so that was that. So let me go back in here. And so before I move on, was there any other questions regarding the eSmart class? So these are kind of what digital tools that we have for you guys that are using our books. Like I said earlier, if you want to register or whatnot, you can either contact your distributor or you can find the playlist on our YouTube channel. After this, I'm going to go into some extra resource sites that I have found. Okay, so if there's anything further regarding the eSmart class, feel free to ask. And now I'm going to show you a bit more other websites you can use for activities and games that you can do with your students. All right. Okay, so let me just go to my PPT. Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah, so again, here's all the resources like I talked about. So one thing I didn't mention on eSmart Class, you can also download all the extra resources. So all of the like worksheets and tests, you can download from the website and kind of show to your students as well through the screen share functions. You can also download on our main website, which is the first one there. And then that's the name of our YouTube channel. So if you search eFuture ELT on YouTube, you'll find it there. We have one question here. Are the eSmart class materials used alone or on the Zoom website? eSmart class materials we have our own platform for it. So what I was showing you now was just the screen share function. So I had it open in my own browser, and then I was able to share it with you at the same time through Zoom. So it's kind of goes together with that. After I make their class, I give them the password. So it explains a little bit in the playlist that I created. So what you'll do is first you'll create your students. So you'll make their ID and their password, and then you give that to the student. And then after you create your list of students, let me go back into here. Let me show this really quick. So here, I'm showing here. So I made student A, B, C, D, and myself, Gary. So this is the ID, and then you can make their password. So once you do that, you can send it to the students. Just make sure with the password, since it doesn't show up, that you have your own kind of maybe Excel file that has the list. And if you do have your own list that you make, we do have a template that instead of making the students individually, you can upload an Excel file and it will it'll upload all the students at once. Okay? So once you make your students here, then you make the class. So like here, if you wanted to add a student, so I wanted to add student A, I click their name and then add. So then they get added. So there's no password for the class, there's a password for the students. Okay, thank you, Nicole. Enjoy your day. Thank you for coming. Okay, so that's kind of the class functions and all that. And I kind of go more in depth on it in the playlist, so feel free to listen to me even more through my YouTube videos that I made. Okay? All right, so that's the eFuture resources. If you have any more questions on them, feel free. I'm going to move on now on some extra resources that you can use in your classroom, okay? So here's kind of four other resource sites that I've found that you can use. We have EduCandy, Tiny Cards, ESL Games Plus, and Kahoot. So I'm gonna kind of show you these 4 sites and kind of what you can do with them and how you can use them with your students. So first I'm gonna go just basically down the line. I'm going to show you EduCandy first. And this is for more elementary level. I had some teachers asking for some secondary. I do have one resource that you could use for kind of the secondary teenagers. So this is an activity here that you can do with the students. So you'd kind of go in and kind of make a list. So you can make a word list, you can make quiz questions, you can make pairs. And then you would kind of go in and kind of do different games with them, okay? So like here I have a kind of unscramble, and I use the topic of colors. So if I wanted to play here, so we'll play it all together. So you have different options. So if you make your word list, you can either play with the students through a word search, play hangman with them, or anagrams. Anagrams is kind of the mix and match unscramble. So we'll do the anagrams one. Once it loads up. Yeah, these are all kind of free websites that I found. Some of them I'll explain a little bit later. Just like Zoom, there's going to be, you know, added functions if you wanted to pay more and all that. Okay, so yeah, with this, so we can kind of do this activity together. So the topic was colors. So can you tell me what color this is? What color is this? Okay, so if the students were doing this, or if you were doing it like a class here, yeah, you can do either just the word or like Min-san just did, putting out the letters. So you can do R, they can click R-E-D, okay, red. But also say, I should have did the other version first. So you can also click them. So if the students were playing and clicking, so what do we have here? Oh man, I thought it was yellow. And then if we have this one here, green. So then you can also just type it as well instead of clicking. And then you can do it that way, okay? So you can go through all of it. You can do this as a vocabulary practice through online. Like I said, there's other functions for quizzes, and you can do different things like that, okay? So this is EduCandy. So it's kind of like a little more interactive little games that you can play. Purple. Also, U is not correct. So as you can see, if they get it wrong, the score goes down. But once you go and start getting the correct letters, it starts going up. So purple. Okay. So this was EduCandy. All right. And then we have blue. And we get their score. And orange. Okay. So they can also kind of practice, the 21st century skill of typing, but also they can just click it as well. Or if they're on their phone, probably, I'm not sure. I haven't tried to access this site on their phone, but I'm sure you can touch screen it as well if you have the iPad or whatnot. Okay, so that's EduCandy. Now, oops, I don't have to alt tab like this. Now I'm going to share, what's the next on my list? Tiny flashcards. So tiny flashcards, again, is more of a vocabulary tool that you can use. I showed you already that there are flashcards on the eKit, but say there was some flashcards or some vocabulary words that you were flipping through your teacher's manual, and maybe you see some words that aren't included in the vocabulary list that your students might not know. So you can kind of use other sites to create your own flashcards as well. So going through here, there's different, basically other teachers, other users have used this website and created theirs and made it public. So you can kind of go through here. So let's do ESL beginners. Search here, and then we can find some, flashcards. So this one has our English beginners might be better. So it all depends on their tag words. English words, beginner. So I don't know why. So English to Danish. So simple English words. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, English words for beginners. So you can kind of show it there. So let's see what beginner words we have in here. So if you show, this one is woman, okay? Woman, okay? So, and then there are other options as well. I've seen on some other decks of cards, they do include audio. Like audio is possible as well. What is the youngest age? When you say this program, do you mean eSmart class, Leighton? So yes, eSmart class. Youngest age, yeah, I would say, yeah, it's gonna vary like age to age, just depending on how well they can kind of function the computer, I guess. It kind of being able to use the computer and like knowing all that comes a little bit before. So yeah, I think there's not kind of a set age, because nowadays, we're getting a lot of tech savvy, maybe 3 or 4 year olds that could use it right away, but then maybe some of the older students that don't know. So it's hard for me to really say an age, really. But I would say depending on the technology exposure that the students have, they'll be able to do it. And even then, like say if they don't know how to use it by themselves, maybe you can just have a Zoom meeting and have a walkthrough with the students and be able to do it as well. Yeah. Okay, so this was Tiny Card. So this is just another vocabulary flashcard resource site that you could use. You can either create your own, and then, or you can find what some other teachers and other people have created for their for their class or for themselves. As you saw, there's a lot of, if you're learning like another language, you can make a lot of flashcards for yourselves to practice. All right? Okay, so that's that one. That's tiny cards. So I have two more I'm going to show for you guys. We have this one here. This is ESL Games Plus. So this is another kind of activity game site that you can do with your students. These are, I will do a disclaimer right now, these are Flash games. So I know at the end of this year, Flash is not going to be supported. So I'm unsure in the future whether or not these will still be functioning. But as of right now, you can use them. There's different games like you can see here. So the classroom games, if you wanted to, if you wanted to put the students into groups to play the game, you would be able to do that. So you can do different teams. We have memory games, board games, and all these other kind of English games that you can do. These aren't as customizable. I will show my I will show the PPT again that has my list in a second, Sarah. Okay, and then yeah, so you have all these different games that you can play with the students. These aren't as customizable, so when you go through you'll see the different topics that you can play. So it's not like the other one where you can create your own. But these are like different ready-made Flash games that you can play with your students. Okay. And then I keep alt-tabbing. I don't need to alt-tab. And then the last resource site I have for you guys is called Kahoot. Okay, so for Kahoot, this is the site that that you can kind of tailor a little bit more for the kind of teenagers and the kind of secondary, older students. This is basically a quiz website, so you can make a quiz for your students. You can also kind of make a multiple choice, like listening question as well. There's an option to put YouTube links in there, and they can listen to a portion and then kind of answer the question from the video. Why I think this is more for the older students, or that you can tailor for the older students, just the interface of it. Using EduCandy, maybe with the older students, they might find it a little too childish sometimes. So just with this interface of this kind of quiz, so I made a demo quiz myself, different questions, kind of just general kind of knowledge questions. This isn't specifically kind of ESL questions. I kind of did this for fun to kind of display. So I'm going to share the link with the chat. So maybe later if you want to test yourself with some of the questions that I made. So I'm going to put this in the chat so you can access it there. Just some of the questions that I put in there, see how much kind of general knowledge. When I made my account for Kahoot, that makes you take like a general knowledge quiz, kind of just to show you the functions that are available for Kahoot. So basically you answer the questions, you can make points and all that. So if you wanted to do it for your textbook, say you can take maybe screenshots of the ebook and use those images, or download the images, and you can use them in the questions. So there would be a different way to maybe do a picture walkthrough with your class, or any of that. So this is kind of another way to kind of quiz your students in another fun kind of interactive way. All right? So, okay. I keep on tabbing. It's kind of a habit. So for those that came late, I went through the resource sites. Let me show you my list one more time. So these are the resource sites that I shared with you. So I had EduCandy, tiny cards for additional flashcards if you need, ESL Games Plus, extra games and activities and quiz, and Kahoot. And with Kahoot, say you just wanted to have a for fun quiz, they do have a question bank as well. So actually, let me show you that really quick. They do have a question bank that you can access, and kind of, instead of making up your own questions, you can use the questions that are already, that some other people have already used. So if I go through here and edit my quiz, and wanted to add a new question. Once it loads in. Okay. So here we have this. So as you can see, this interface here for a question, you can type it in, and then you have the different places to add it here. Oh, you can see the answers to my quiz. Don't look. Okay, so you can go to the question bank. And then once you get the question bank, you can type in a question or find certain questions that have been already used instead of creating your own. Okay? So that was the kind of the last bit of kind of fun that we had with Kahoot. All right. Okay. And yeah, so was there any questions on these extra resources that I let you guys know on before I kind of move on? Yeah, waitlist. Thanks, Andrew. Is that great? Awesome. Kahoot online. So with this one, let me go back to Kahoot. I know just the whole, I don't know how many times I've said this, but just the whole screen sharing function is like a very good tool. So going in, go back, and click done. Yeah, so with Kahoot, I'll just keep the changes for now. Okay, thank you, Melissa. I was just wondering if okay, let me see. Let me see here. Also, it opened up a new window. Let's do the classic. Now, I'm not sure. Are you able to see these right now? Okay. Yeah, so this is kind of the gameplay. Yeah, it doesn't look like I'll be able to do it right now, but yeah, you can give this to your students and kind of play it with them and start it. So, yeah. Yeah. Actually, let me close the sound here. Okay. So let me go back to the slideshow. Yeah, you can kind of test it as well. You can do the same thing with it. So I see a Q&A question. Jeff, I see your question here. With the app, they won't be able to interact with it through screen share because it's coming from your computer. Okay, so it's coming from your computer. So they would have to have it open on theirs to see. All right. Okay, so that's the last that I have here. Before you guys go, I hope you guys enjoyed today. I have one last survey that I'd like for you guys to kind of answer for us. So at eFuture, we are trying to help you guys the best that we can during these times. And we are planning to do more webinars just like this. So I'm going to give one last little survey for you guys. Just want to know what kind of topics and types of webinars that you would like for us to do in the future. And then also what time during the day would be best for you guys as well. If right now is fine, or if you prefer it more in the morning or in the afternoon, please let us know, get us some feedback. And we hope to continue, we look forward to continue helping you guys as best as we can with all the online learning, or just all of these, all the resources and everything that we have. So yeah, I appreciate you guys spending your time out. I know maybe a lot of you are very hungry for lunch. So yeah, make sure to get a good lunch in afterwards. So yeah, all these materials, if you need help, we do have, like I said, follow our YouTube channel. We have a lot more content coming up on our YouTube channel. So be sure to follow that. This webinar will be going up on that YouTube channel as well. And yeah, if you have maybe certain questions specifically in your country, we will be sending up a follow-up email, and I will include all of the contact emails for all the different countries that attended today. So thank you guys so much. The questions were great. I loved everyone enjoying the chat, and hopefully, I was able to give you something that you can take into your online class either later today or in the near future. So yeah, if you have any further questions as well for me, my email is here on the screen. You can email me, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. So I'll be here for a little bit, so if you have any last questions, I will be taking a look, but hope you guys have a great lunch and have a great rest of your day. Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, it's good hearing you from again, Andrew. Hope you and your son are doing well, and the rest of your family. Yeah, you too, Bruce. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Yep, enjoy your guys' day. You're very welcome. Yeah, thank you. Oh, salamat. Salamat po. Annyeonghaseyo. Sayonara. Hasta luego, if there's any Spanish speakers in there. Or hasta luego. Hasta mañana. Gracias. Let's see. So I think, Tongha, you might have to click the chat window. I'm not sure if I don't think the chat opens up automatically. In your bar, you might see the chat window. If you click that, you can open it up. Do it that way so you can see the chat. Thank you, Ray. Thanks for the nice feedback. Oh yeah. Yeah, you don't know that we have it until you need it, right? Yes. Yeah, Ryan, the video will go up on YouTube. So this webinar will be uploaded for everyone to see. So just make sure we shared a link earlier, or search eFuture ELT, and you can click follow, and you'll see when all of our YouTube videos go up. We have a lot of activity ideas as well on there that we've been doing and recording. So we'll be uploading a lot more things on our YouTube channel in the future. Yeah, thank you. All right, so I'm going to sign off here. So thank you guys again, and I hope to see you at the next webinar. Enjoy your days. Bye-bye.